taken notice for private member bill, but the matter was referred to the Rules Committee, and we had a meeting. And again, I was instructed that I should move 0R. Then again, you converted into Rule 54. Under Rule 54, calling attention of matters of urgent public importance. Anyway, whichever way it is, I'm happy that you have admitted the notice that I have served. Well, today I actually speak impromptu. I find it very difficult to speak, to make a written speech, because I don't have the habit of doing so. But this is a very important matter, and record will be important even for future reference. Therefore, I have chosen to present a written speech. Well, before I read out what I have prepared, this is a part of the BJP manifesto of having one nation, one election. We are, the NTPP are a partner of the BJP in Nagaland. My party, Naga People's Front, is also a partner of the BJP in the state of Manipur. We are in coalition, but whenever it is a matter that concerns our people as well as our party, we wish to make our own independent stand, of course, while maintaining the coalition spirit. I'll just come back to what I've written, calling attention to matters of urgent public importance pertaining to one nation, one election, for short, ONOI, under Rule 54 of the Rules of Procedure and Conduct of Business in Nagaland Legislative Assembly. Speaker, sir, one nation, one election, for short, I will say ONOI, would invariably defeat the spirit of federal structure, because India being a union of states with federal structure, it is a direct assault on the very essence and fabric of the democratic features. Keeping in mind the composition of the multi-ethnicity of the citizens of Indian Union, various states have been created at different stages with different reasons. Even in the recent past, many more new states have been created, mainly on linguistic line, and some states, especially Nagaland, was born out of political agreement. Thus, a notion such as ONOI is detrimental to India as a developing nation, which has earned a name in the Committee of Nations as a country of unity in diversity. As a matter of fact, India is one of the most diverse countries in the world, and the idea of homogeneity or a one-size-fits-all will be only a wishful thinking, and it will be repulsive as well. It is an acknowledged fact that large chunk of electorates normally turn up in both parliamentary and assembly elections, basically reposing their faith on their local candidates and not necessarily the political parties they represent. However, India being a big nation, most of its citizens still live in the rural areas, and therefore regional political parties play a very crucial role in motivating the electorates to participate in the electoral process. This is because national political parties inadequately addresses the regional and local issues, resulting into regional imbalances, even in terms of developmental projects. Whereas, inter alia, one of the fundamental objectives of the regional political parties is to effectively protect and defend the distinct identity, culture, tradition, customary, and religious practices of its people, which in turn attract and inspire its citizens, particularly the people at the grassroots, to take interest in the electoral process. Hence, the number of voters turn up and voting percentage would drastically reduced if the theory of Onoi is propounded. Thereby, the much acclaimed celebration of Indian democracy, which is normally measured from the voter's turn-up point of view, would speedily erode, and it will be a thing of the past. It appears that the entire gamut of the proponent of Onoi is specifically from the reduction of expenditure point of view in the conduct of the elections. However, election-related expenditure reduction measures cannot be adopted at the cost of federalism. Moreover, Onoi will hardly make any difference in reducing the election-related expenditures, Speaker said. There is always a scope to amend the Representation of People's Act by way of incorporating stringent measures in regulating the overall election expenditures. As of today, Speaker sir, the election-related expenditures do not burden much on the country's economy, as the figure shows that the overall election expenditure amounts to approximately 0.33% of the GDP, and for a country, that is India, whose GDP is about rupees 300 lakh crore, the cost is not too much. Speaker sir, in addition to this, the expenditures on subsidies, freebies, etc. offered to attract voters by the political parties are also estimated to cost only 1.2% of the GDP, which is also projected as not too much, rather reasonable, Speaker sir. Speaker sir, there is an argument that some other advanced countries have adopted this simultaneous election of both parliamentary as well as state election. Let me come back to that, some of the countries. Amongst the countries that are practicing parliamentary form of government at the moment, there are only few countries such as South Africa, Belgium, and Sweden, etc. Less population and much smaller than Indian landmass. The countries that I read out who follow simultaneous election, where their system is least party proportional representation. In short, LPPR system is followed. Whereas in the Indian democracy, Speaker sir, the system of first past the post means even if you get one single vote more than the other candidate, your opponent, you get elected. That is the meaning of first past the post. The other one is least party proportional representation, means the party will have to get a higher percentage of votes to get its candidates elected. That is in a simple parlance I'm making. So what Indian system follows is the system of first past the post. FPTP is an operation since independence, and it has proven to be successful as the electorates know their representatives, MB, MLAs in person, and thus making things easier for the electorates to ventilate their grievances. Speaker sir, I will explain a little bit on this context, because in a large country like India, where the population is massive, the countries which I have read are very advanced countries and a very small population, and even in terms of geographical areas, they are very small. So they can easily make out, even if the party, within the party, they select their own representative. But in a nation like India, it will be very difficult. That is the argument I'm putting forward. The LPPR system is indeed unfamiliar to many countries. This system actually delinks the electorates from its representatives, because it will be party who will be choosing their representative of my constituency, for example, Pandit. I hope you are getting, I hope the House will get convinced by the time I end my speech, Speaker said. The electorates have no ability to determine the identity of the leader person who will represent them. The geographical linkage between the representatives and the electorates is also lost. If Onoi, one nation, one election is to be introduced, overhauling of the Indian constitution will be necessitated and most probably end up in adopting a system of LPPR, which is too complex for the Indian masses, as India has a huge population and large geographical areas. Over and above, majority of them lives in the villages. As a matter of fact, a system which is applicable in other countries, particularly European countries, will be far-fetched for the Indian electorates till India becomes fully developed. What I'm trying to propound is, a time may come, this may be necessary, but maybe after 50 years from now, but not now. That's what I would like to emphasize, Speaker sir. A little chart I have made out, it's in your table. Sweden has 10.5 million only, with a geography of 7.430 kilometers, and they have the LBBR system. South Africa has 63 million people only, with 1221037 kilometers. Their system is also LBBR. Now come back to India. India has 142.86 crore, Speaker sir, this much people. With it's a subcontinent, it's not even a country. India is always referred as a subcontinent. With 328,27259 kilometers, and we follow the first past the post. That is the system we follow. So if you see the geographical areas as well as the number of people, population, for us it'll be very difficult, a Herculean task rather, for the government of India as well as the Election Commission of India to resort into this one nation, one election. I have no doubt in my mind that once simultaneous election of Lok Sabha and state assemblies imposed upon, the relevancy of the regional political parties would be diminished, as national agenda will overshadow regional and local issues. Speaker sir, I represent a regional party, Naga People's Front, that protects the rights and the aspiration of our people. And most of the elections, we go to the people propagating the rights and aspiration of our people. Now that will be overshadowed if one nation, one election is propounded, because national issues, national interest will come in. Our people, the narratives will change, the discourse will change. These are some of the apprehensions, worries I have. Over and above, the national political parties would take upper hand by using all sorts of enticing propaganda with an intention to hammer the regional political parties, and ultimately leads to one-party rule. Speaker sir, please mark that. One-party rule, which is akin to communist type of government that will only invite chaos and confusion in the Indian polity, as it will be a direct threat to Indian democracy. If you see Chinese system, Speaker sir, you are a very well-learned man, the communist system in China. Every time the president gets elected without even going through the process, he's a party president, he is also the president of the nation. So that is called a communist system where one party rules. So you can see how suffocating it is for the citizen to live in such country. It is also expected that use of money power and misuse of government machinery would be rampant during election by the national political parties to wrestle power if simultaneous election is held for both parliamentary and state assembly. Both Congress party as well as BJP party, they are very rich in terms of party funds. How do we regional party compete with them? These are the apprehensions I have. This will definitely reshape the atmosphere of free and fair election as well, which will be another bigger threat to Indian democracy. Let me summarize some of the main reasons why I'm opposed to it. One nation, one election proposal undermines the federal balance enshrined in the Constitution by imposing centralized electoral framework. Synchronizing elections would erode the autonomy of states like Nagaland to address local issues through region-specific mandate. When we go to the people for election, we ask their mandate on certain issues. One of the main reasons which our Honorable CM keep mentioning is the political issue and other developmental issues. Now all these will be submerged by national agendas. All these will be enveloped. So therefore, these are the few concerns I have. 2, regional parties play a critical role in amplifying tribal and local concerns. Onoi risk overshadowing regional agenda with national narratives, favoring financial dominance by the national parties. I have already expounded this. We wouldn't be able to compete with them. How can we compete with the national parties who has a lot of party funding? It will be very difficult, Speaker said. 3, conducting simultaneous elections in Nagaland's geographical challenging terrain would strain administrative resources, including security personnel and election officials, who are already stretched thin. While Onoi claims cost savings, the initial expenditure for synchronizing infrastructure, let us just take some example of EVMs and voter rolls, etc., would burden resource-crunch states like Nagaland, Speaker, sir, because most of the expenditures are being done from the state's exchequer only, all this, which generally rely on central funding for development. For Nagaland, we normally depend on central funding, and the little revenue that we get, we spend on this this exercise. It will be a burdensome for our exchequer. 4, Onoi violates the basic structure doctrine by altering the constitutional separation of powers and diluting state sovereignty. Fixed electoral cycles would reduce accountability as voters lose stability to hold governments responsible midterm through state elections. 5, the ongoing peace process vis-a-vis political negotiations and unique constitutional protections, that is Article 371A, require uninterrupted attention. Frequent elections ensure timely political accountability, whereas Onoi could delay critical decision-making. Centralized electoral campaigns may sideline Naga-specific issues, such as the Naga political struggle, in favor of national party agenda. Speaker, sir, I'm afraid because this will overshadow all our local issues, all our political struggle, if we are to allow this one. And therefore, Nagaland actually only when our Honorable CM took over as the CM, he from heart of his heart, he's still NPF, but at that point of time, officially affiliated to NPF. And even the first tenure, he was not allowed to complete the tenure. That is what the central government do, Speaker, sir. They would not wish to see a regional party completing a tenure. His initial first tenure was like that, the first inning. We had a protest, I remember. Because, and many a times, Nagaland has faced president's rule. Now, if one nation, one election is introduced, simultaneous election of both parliamentary and state election is introduced, then what they will do, if the government here is not in favor of the central, agendas, let us say, a hidden agenda, open agenda, there are lots of agendas. So therefore, now they will see that this government will be kept in suspended animation, they will impose president's rule, then they will wait, they will be compelled to wait for the next cycle of election, as in the name of one nation, one election. These are the consequences we will be facing, and Nagaland will be at the receiving end, Speaker, sir. That's what I'm worried. After winning for the third, now let me come back. This is a message to the BJP. Hopefully they will take it in a positive angle. This is what I would like to convey to them, that after winning for the third consecutive term, this is the third inning of Honorable Prime Minister Modi ji, the BJP is now vigorously advocating for one nation, one election, like never before, as their desire to remain in power for many long years is apparent, like that of the Congress in the early 50s and 60s. Well, for that matter, I cannot blame them, because after all, which political party do not want to be in power? Speaker said, every political party, we wish to be in power. That is nothing new. it is quite natural. It is quite natural, as every political party aspires to be in power, but this is an important message for them. Little did the BJP know, little did they realize that had simultaneous election continued, which was practiced from 1952 till 1967. Initially, India was on that line, where Congress party was the dominant political party both at the central and states. They means the BJP. The BJP will still be less known political party today in the Indian political landscape. I thought of writing, they will be nowhere. I think that will be too rude. So I said, I have already written, it will be less known a political party in the Indian political landscape. It was only after the cycle of simultaneous election collapsed due to premature dissolution of state assemblies, the dominance of the Indian National Congress diminished, and a new political dynamics emerged in India, which is popularly known in the political realm as coalition era. Consequently, many regional political parties got leverage to gain control of their respective local and regional bastions, and BJP, that time it was called Janasangh, it was not BJP, later on they converted into BJP, also caught the opportunity to capitalize the growing polarization of Indian politics and won 2 seats in the 1984 parliamentary election. Vajpayee was there, I don't remember the other name. There were only two of them won in 1984 elections. It's how it happened, because of the collapse of the Congress party 30 long years with the evolving of regional parties. And BJP came in there. Hence, I urge the BJP to re-examine its stand on this matter, and retrospect how the party has emerged this much strong today with the support of the regional political parties, as it was the Janata Party who has dislodged the powerful 30 years long Congress role. Speaker sir, after 1975, Indira Gandhi imposed the president's rule. It is still a hot topic for the BJP in every platform that they gave. Then the midterm poll came in 1977. Then the Janata Party emerged a very powerful party. So through this Janata Party, they could master majority by hosting Congress, 30 years long Congress regime in India. That is post 1975 emergency. Thereby, indirectly, I don't want to say directly, pave way for the BJP to find an on-road. You should pronounce on-road. For the BJP to find on-road to the corridor of power which they are enjoying today. I think the message is crystal clear that what I'm trying to say, Speaker, sir, had simultaneous election continued, Congress, we never know, would be still very strong, because they were controlling both states as well as central. But after the reorganization of states, then disturbing the state assemblies by imposing president's rule, some new states created. So the new system came in, that simultaneous election went away. Then first, after the Janata coalition government in 1977-1980, Morarji Desai became India's first non-Congress prime minister. Otherwise, till 1977, it was a Congress rule. 30 long years. Now BJP is maybe of the view that they will stay for long. So probably they are pushing their hopes and aspirations. But this is the concern of a regional party, where we are also a partner. But as I said, we have to make our point clear, especially on the political issue. In the light of the above facts and circumstances, I'm concluding, Speaker sir, I strongly object simultaneous election of Lok Sabha and State Assembly, and do not subscribe the concept of one nation, one election. Further, Speaker sir, I urge through your chair that this matter be thoroughly discussed and debated in the right earnest in this august house, as and when it is at the appropriate time. What I'm trying to say is, since it was tabled in the Lok Sabha, but since they could not garner the number, it is now referred to the Joint Parliamentary Committee. It is under examination. I'm aware of that. But as and when appropriate time comes, I would urge and request your good chair that this may be allowed to be discussed and debated. Thank you very much for the time, Speaker.
Honorable Speaker, sir, thank you very much for admitting this prayer. The legislature and the Parliament of India are the temple of democracy. It is an institute where policies are conceived, and these policies are transformed into laws through enactments by the legislature to govern the state and its citizens. To implement these acts, following the policies, a system is established which is known as the government machinery. Therefore, these two organs, the legislature and the government machinery, works in tandem for the interests of the people. The functions of these two organs to manage governance effectively have two secretariats, namely the Assembly Secretariat to receive through the people's representatives and the Civil Secretariat to deliver through the civil servants. Therefore, the synchronization of the two secretariats is of paramount importance, and this is why the many assembly committees have been constituted. These are the Public Accounts Committee, the Estimates Committee, the Committee on Public Undertakings, Committee on Privileges, Committee on Subordinate Legislation, Committee on Government Assurances, Business Advisory Committee, Committee on Petition, Committee on Rules, the House Committee, the Library Committee, the Committee on Papers laid on the table to be examined by the committee, the Budget Committee, Committee to examine the applicabilities of laws passed by the Parliament. And speakers have the Rules Committee have also just included the Committee on Environment and Climate Change and the Committee on Urban Local Bodies, the Village and Tribal Councils, vis-à-vis the Nagaland Municipal Act of 2023 and the Nagaland Village and Tribal Councils Act of 1978 as amended up to 2022. The roles of these committees are to coordinate the working systems of the two secretariats, to ensure the implementation of developmental programs conceived out of the policies by the Legislative Assembly, which are meant for the optimum development of the people on all fronts and through all departments of the government machinery. These committees also play dual roles in that they submit their reports on which the popular government rectifies or streamlines their future plans and programs. Therefore, the evidences, both written and oral, established by the committees have far-reaching impacts and consequences. In all, the very essence of a people's government will be missing if the roles and purposes of the committees are compromised in any manner. Therefore, Speaker Sir, my observation and submission today, through your good office, is also to the honorable members who constitutes as a member in any of the assembly committees. If, for any reasons, the honorable member cannot shoulder and discharge their assigned responsibilities owing to their absence repeatedly for want of quorum, that is at least a 2/3 majority, in such cases having been reported on several occasions, then it will be advisable for them to relinquish their positions as a member of those committees with prior information to the Honorable Speaker so as to facilitate another member for the smooth conduct of such committees. Speaker, sir, secondly and more importantly, it has also come to our notice that in many cases, the administrative heads of departments and the heads of departments are not attending to their responsibilities with regard to assembly matters. It has further been observed in many instances that even oral evidences meetings are not being attended, leading to the repeated rescheduling of the meetings, causing serious inconveniences. Non-attendance in these meetings and the tendency to depute junior officers to represent the AHODs and HODs is highly inappropriate and must be scrupulously avoided. All recommendations made by the committees must be treated with due importance, and the mechanism should be in place for their timely implementations. Also, all the AHODs and HODs must ensure their presence during the assembly sessions, which is of a very high importance. The assembly is the highest democratic institution of governance, and all its matters must be treated with utmost seriousness and priority. Government officials, especially those in leadership roles, have a duty to respect the legislative process and ensure that the concerns and recommendations of the House are addressed with sincerity and diligence. The honorable members of the 14th House is committed to uphold the confidence of the people which have been reposed in us through the mandate we have received, and will therefore leave no stones unturned in the service of the people. Thank you, sir.
I rise to make a statement to the 0R matter raised by Rule 54 of One Nation, One Election, raised by the Honorable Member, Sri Achumemo Kikon. Sir, you are aware that the proposal of One Nation, One Election has been proposed to be introduced in the country through the 129th Constitutional Amendment Bill introduced in the Lok Sabha on 17 December 2024. The bill proposes to insert one, a new Article 82A, simultaneous election to the House of the People and all legislative assemblies. 2. Amend Article 83, duration of Houses of Parliament. 3. Amend Article 172, duration of state legislatures. And 4. Amend Article 327, power of Parliament, to make provision with respect to election to legislature. Sir, after fierce debate in Parliament, Honorable Speaker of the Lok Sabha, Sri O. Birla, forwarded the bill to the Joint Parliamentary Committee, consisting of 27 Lok Sabha and 12 Rajya Sabha members. So far, the JPC has met twice, that is on 8th January and 25th February 2025. to discuss the feasibility of the implementation of the bill. However, the final recommendation is yet to be made. So the bill were based on the recommendation of an 8-member high-level committee that was formed under the chairmanship of Sri Ramnath Kovind, former President of India. The committee submitted its recommendation to the Honorable President on 14th March 2024. So it may be mentioned that simultaneous elections were the norm from the first general election in 1957 till 1967, as Honorable Member also had spoken. From 1967 onward, there were early dissolution of state assemblies which led to staggered polls being conducted for Lok Sabha and legislative assemblies. Efforts to review the system have been debated for decades, with proposals from the Election Commission in 1983. The Law Commission in 1999 and Niti Aayog, the government think tank, in 2017, the Law Commission of India in its 170th report on reforms of electoral laws, inter alia, suggested that holding separate elections for the state legislative assembly should be an exception rather than the rule. Rationale. Speaker, sir, the statement of objects and reasons appended to the bill states the brief reasons. There are: 1, elections have become expensive and time consuming. 2, the imposition of model code of conduct in several parts of the country that are pool-bound put on hold the entire developmental programs, cause disruption of normal public life, impact the functioning of services, and also curtail the involvement of manpower from their core activities for development for prolonged periods for election duties. Speaker, sir, after the bill is passed, the following action will be taken. A notification is to be issued by the President on the date of the first sitting of Lok Sabha after a general election. 2, that date of the notification shall be called the appointed date. 3, tenure of Lok Sabha shall be 5 years from that appointed date. 4, tenure of all legislative assemblies constituted by the election to the legislative assemblies after the appointed date and before the expiry of the full term of the Lok Sabha. It shall come to an end on the expiry of the full term of Lok Sabha. 5th, therefore all general elections to the House of the People and all legislative assemblies shall be held together simultaneously. In case of dissolution of Lok Sabha or Legislative Assembly, sooner than the full term of the Lok Sabha or the Legislative Assembly, The term of the House or Assembly constituted pursuant to election shall be for unexpired term of the House or Assembly. Speaker, sir, if the bill is passed during this Lok Sabha, 18 Lok Sabha, then the appointed date would be, say, sometime in May, June 2029. Since that would be the first sitting of the Lok Sabha after general election. Tenure of 19 Lok Sabha would be May, June 2034. In case the 19 Lok Sabha lasts its full term. The 14th Nagaland Legislative Assembly's tenure will get over in February-March 2028. The 15th NLA tenure will be till February-March 2033. And the 16th NLA would normally have a tenure till February-March 2038. Speaker, sir, as per the present bill, the tenure of the 16th NLA will be curtailed till, say, May, June 2034. Hence, in case the bill is passed, the tenure of the 16th NLA would be only, say, for about 14 to 15 months as opposed to the normal 5 years. Subsequently, election will be held simultaneously for the Lok Sabha and the Nagaland Legislative Assembly. Sir, since the bill is being considered by a joint parliamentary committee constituted by the Honorable Speaker of the Lok Sabha, it may be improper to make any further comments on this matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister, for your statement. We will come to now item number 11, the announcement of the constitution of various financial and non-financial committees of the Assembly and the panel of chairman for the year 2025-26. Honorable members, the list of committee members are already uploaded in the system, and so I will not read out the names of the committee members since it is already laid for your reference. However, in regard to this item number 11, I would like to take this opportunity to express that on the 60th year of the Nagaland Legislative Assembly, we are very privileged and happy to announce the formation of 2 new Assembly committees very pertinent to contemporary challenges and requirements of the state. Number 1, the Committee on Environment and Climate Change, as just announced by the Honorable Minister of Parliamentary Affairs. Number 2, Committee on Urban Local Bodies and Nagaland Village Councils, vis-a-vis the Nagaland Municipal Act 2023 and the Nagaland Village and Tribal Councils Act of 1978, amended up to 2022. The necessity to create the 2 new Assembly committees emanates from the fundamental essence of Article 371A, the uniqueness of our social fabric and the continuous effort of the honorable members of this august House to take governance to our people necessitated the emergent requirement on the formation of these 2 committees. With a global perspective, I hope the members of the committee will persevere in addressing regional issues of our state. I also sincerely express sincere thanks to Honorable Minister, Honorable Shri Keji Kenye, Minister of Parliamentary Affairs and Power, and the Honorable members of the Rules Committee in expressing your support and achieving this significant feat together. Now, honorable members, as there are no unfinished business listed for the day, that brings us to the close of the 6th session of the 14th Nagaland Legislative Assembly. during the 5-day session, we could successfully transact all the business listed, and I'm pleased to note the active participation of honorable members and commitment to the responsibilities entrusted to us while demonstrating a shared commitment in discussing and engaging in matters of vital importance. I also take this opportunity to share my personal view on the budget that was presented for the year 2025-26. I strongly feel that the budget presented is one of the most holistic budgets presented to this august House. It signifies a resurgent Nagaland and a transformed Nagaland in the coming days with all the challenges. I must sincerely thank the Honorable Leader of the House, who is also the Minister in charge of Finance, Deputy Chief Ministers and the Council of Ministers, and Honorable Members in coming up with such a far-sighted budget. Your sincerity towards our people is reflected in the concerns and focus areas of the budget. From this privileged chair, bestowed upon me with trust by this august House, I can witness the silent yet very significant transition that our state is undergoing under a stable government led by the Honorable Leader of the House, Honorable Chief Minister, and his seasoned Senior Council of Ministers and Advisors. The future will remember this moment and period of transformation. I also would like to extend my sincere gratitude to all the honorable members for your cooperation in maintaining the decorum, the sanctity of the House, and efficiency of our proceedings. It is my earnest hope that we continue to uphold this commendable tradition of constructive engagement in the future. Apart from the question hour, we have deliberated on several pressing issues of paramount importance to the state, requiring the immediate attention of the government. In these 5 days of sitting, we could pass 8 bills apart from many other subjects requiring urgent attention of the government. We could also take up 5 subjects of paramount importance for discussion under Rule 50 and Rule 54, respectively. It is also encouraging to witness our honorable members utilizing the medium of 0 hour to highlight pressing and emerging issues that impact the welfare of our people. I also thank the honorable members for your reference to the rules of procedure. I urge more participation and meaningful contribution from all of you in the future. Before I adjourn the House, I take this opportunity to extend my sincere appreciation to the Chief Secretary and his team of officials, the Director General of Police, the Armed Forces, the Paramilitary Forces, for their invaluable assistance in ensuring the smooth conduct of the House proceedings. I also acknowledge the medical team for their unwavering dedication to the well-being and safety of our senior honorable members. My appreciation further extends to the media fraternity for their role in disseminating the proceedings of the House to the people. I reserve my deepest gratitude for my officers and staff, led by the Secretary in charge, whose dedication and meticulous efforts have ensured the seamless transaction of this 6th session of the 14th Nagaland Legislative Assembly. Honorable members, with no other unfinished business before this House, I now adjourn the 6th session of the 14th Nagaland Legislative Assembly